It's Talk Point again on Lagos Television. My name is Omololu Rosanwo. Today on Talk Point, we'll be looking at the registration, the continuous voter registration by the Independent National Electoral Commission, and of course, how youths are actually mobilizing towards that direction. Of course, we know that the continuous voter registration exercise started sometime in August last year. That was in 2025, and it stopped around December. Then it picked up again on the 5th of January this year, 2026, and ever since there has been mobilization, and people are actually going to register as soon as anybody turns 18. It is expected that he or she will register so that he or she will be eligible to vote when the time comes. That's what we'll be looking at today, and I have a guest in the studio that will be doing justice to that with me, and I'm expecting to have a Zoom link also to bring the person on board. But in my studio here, I have with me Olalekan Oni. He is a social affairs commentator. Lekon, nice to have you again on Talk Point.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Thank you for having me once again. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year to our viewers at home.
Yes, thank you for coming on Talk Point. Yes, in that intro, I talked about the essence of voter registration, which will prepare people to actually get ready to vote for the candidates of their choice. Yes, the exercise started last year. It started again this year. At this period now, it has commenced again. What's your own assessment of this?
Well, I think that so far it's been so good, but if you look at the figures presently, I think that Nigerians are really not coming out to register yet. I said that because of the figures that we have. In the first phase, which began in August 2025 and ended in December, we saw that the total number of registration that was done within that period was around 2.6 million. And what we also saw online was that over 10 million Nigerians started the registration, but only about 2.6 million completed the registration. And so when people talk about the internet, when people talk about technology, that it should be seamless in doing registration, and that whatever we want to do, technology should be deployed, and so that it will be easier for people to register, so that what we usually have before is that people will go to INEC offices at the 774 local government centers across the country, and that they will queue in the sun and all of that. So because of the stress associated with the past registration, people have always said that it should be seamless so that people can sit down in the comfort of their homes or offices to register. But we also saw that, to even complete that registration, if you go on the INEC portal, you still have to go to the offices to do your biometric and also do your capturing.
But I thought when it started in last year, August, that was the initial process that once you're a fresher and you're registering, you will first register. Then afterwards, your facials and other biometrics will be captured much later.
Yes.
But I think there's an advancement, advanced program to that.
For me, I think that's where it stops. If you do whatever registration, you input your data and all of that, and then at the end of the day, you will still have to go to the office of the INEC Registration Center across 774 local government. And we only have one center in each local government. And so for me, it still boils down to the same thing. It's just like, because at the end of the day, like I said, we had over 10 million people who registered online but couldn't complete because there's a limit to what you can do online. Okay. You will still have to go and do your biometric and your capturing at the INEC office. So at the end of the day, it still boils down to you are just going to the INEC office to still go and register again. And that's where people are finding it very difficult. Because at the end of the day, when you get to the INEC office, you will find a whole lot of people at the INEC office. And that's, that comes back to the stress which people were actually avoiding in doing registration. So I want to advise, if it is very possible, in this age and time that people should be able to complete their registration online. I don't know how possible that is, but I think with the technology advancement that we have in this age and century, I think that it is very possible that people should be able to complete this registration online. If you go to the INEC office in Ikeja, I heard that from a very reliable source, and I think it's very true, that people get there as early as 5:30 in the morning.
Really?
Yes. People get to the INEC office as early as 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Even some, you hear that people sleep around so that they can quickly register. And at the end of the day, we still see that people are still a lot of people. But something is happening now, which I also think is very good. It has been decentralized.
Yeah.
So people can now, very close to you. The INEC registration is now very close to the people. And that will help in ensuring that people get registered as early as possible.
Yes, because I was almost coming to that when you just mentioned it now. Because from what INEC said, it is expected that you first do a first process,
Yes.
you register online.
Yes.
Then the next one, you go for your biometrics.
Yes.
Then after the biometrics, then the process will now move up.
Yes.
They will now know that, okay, you have registered.
Yes.
But I'm looking at it because some Nigerians too are also very, very trickish. Those that do not have good intentions. They may want to do double or triple registration.
Yes.
I remember asking INEC officials, Lagos INEC officials, that how do they hope to get this? And they said, well, there's a process that they can always identify.
Yes,
double registration or triple registration.
Yes.
And what would be the penalty for that if you are doing double, triple registration? I also asked that question. And what did they say? They said, okay, that the person might just lose
The
everything.
whole of the registration. Yes, I think that's it.
So
and I think also that, it's a system-based something. Once you input your name, and probably when you are doing your biometric or your data, you're capturing, you can actually change your name, but you cannot change your face.
Yes,
and
the
we also
face
know
will
that,
not change.
Yes, you can change your name, but even your fingerprint cannot even change. And that's where the biometric comes in. So I think that it is even easily detectable that once you are doing a double registration, by the time you get to the biometric face or the face capturing stage, I think that the system should be able to detect that and then nullify whatever double registration it is.
Yes, I'm being told now that we have somebody that we've been expecting on our Zoom. I'm being told that I have Opelua Taiwo, the Executive Director of African Bridge Initiative. Opelua, how are you?
Awesome. Good afternoon, sir. Good to be here today.
Yes, nice to have you join us. We're talking INEC continuous voter registration, and we're also looking at youth mobilization. What do you make of this? Let me first ask you, have you registered? Of course, have you registered or have you mobilized to register?
For me, I have my certified permanent voters card. So, and for us in our own organization, since 2023, we've been in the business of mobilizing thousands of youths in Lagos State for them to have their permanent voters card. It is a rigorous process because there is some form of alienation and some form of lacuna within the belief system, both from the youth and the ruling class. But how be it, because of our own integrity space and putting our professional capacity in line, we'll be able to convince quite a large number of youth, especially from 18 and above. I'm talking about especially the tertiary institution young ones who have never voted anywhere before. But because of that might and the back-end information, both true and untrue, that they have received in terms of the fact that your vote will not count. So it has been having a layback from so many of them. But with consistency we have gotten some quite improvement and positive feedback from the youth, and they are now on the voters list.
Yes, if I may ask you, Okweoluwa, what actually were the challenges or the teething challenges which you feel have probably been overcome now? What were the initial challenges?
Okay, when we talk about challenges, for now, we should look at the angle of technology. All right, so if I'm to register for my PVC, even though as of today we know you can register any part of Nigeria, even though your polling unit will not change, so you can register at any part of Nigeria. But for me to leave my office as a tech entrepreneur, as a professional, to get to the INEC office to register, the cumbersome process needs to be reduced. Because, for instance, you get there around 9 o'clock, you are told that maybe there's no petrol at the INEC office, or there's something wrong with the generator. You know, some of all of these challenges, we need to start breaking them down, because the youth are impatient. They are impatient with all of this process.
Let me ask you this.
It's possible for INEC to have solar-based technology.
Yes, can I just ask you this question?
When I come to the office,
Okpa, can I ask you this question? I want you to actually be very specific.
yes.
The areas that you went and they said they had petrol or some kind of generator problem, where specific? Is it in Lagos, or is it in Surulere, is it in Ikeja, or where?
Okay, so I've been having challenges in some area of Ifelodun. I've been having some challenges in the area of Ifelodun.
Okay.
And what I did was to immediately escalate to the INEC office at the state level. But you know, not everyone has such a privilege. Because of my own organization, I work directly with them, so I'll be able to escalate that if I'm driving this process and I'm bringing youth every day, don't allow pressure, don't allow any gap for them, because if any youth come today, they won't come tomorrow. Nobody has that kind of precious time to waste.
Yes.
So INEC has to up their game. What we did in 2023, we can't do the same in 2027. If not, the thousands and millions of youth that we were able to gather in 2023, in 2027, you will not see them.
Okay.
That is the pure fact.
Okay, just
so INEC must up their game.
Okay.
No room for excuses.
Okay, let me just
century.
thank you. Let me just hold your thoughts there. Let me come to the studio here. Lekan, you just heard what Okweoluwa said there. That also tallies with some of the things you said earlier. But some of these things have been identified. What do you think is the way out so that the youth and others that may want to register do not get discouraged?
Okay, so I want us to get this right. And from some of the statements, it says that nobody wants to waste their time. Going to the INEC office to do registration, and you know, it takes some time for you to do. It is not a wasted time. Okay, so I said that because voters card, when you get your voters card, you are not doing anybody a favor. You know, voting, like we used to say, is a civic responsibility, and whatever it is a civic responsibility, it is part of why you are a patriotic Nigerian or a patriotic citizen. So even if sometimes it takes some time, I think that it is not a wasted time. So clearing that, and then going forward from INEC, I also believe that INEC can do better, especially in the area of technology. We've also had issues whereby people get to the INEC office and the next thing you hear is that there's no network. And so that's another challenge. So I don't know how they can put all of that together, but they can also work in that area. And then I think that decentralizing this voters card registration is also a good step in the right direction. So INEC would do better. Let us also know that those personnel are also human beings. And then because I've seen cases, we've heard of cases whereby people go to INEC offices and then, in fact, it happened in Ikeja that people were almost pulling down the gate of the office. Yes. And so all of these things, when we get there, me getting my voter's card, it's not that I'm doing anybody a favor. Even if I'm voting for anybody, I'm not doing that person a favor. It is my civic duty to vote, to get my voter's card and also to participate in the electoral process. So I have mentioned the area of technology. Whatever INEC needs to do, the network has to be always up. And then also the way they have decentralized this. And if possible, they can even decentralize the more. You know, when we have more centers, it becomes very easy for people to register. Now, the crowd we usually have at the INEC office at Moise Banere in Ikeja here is reduced already. In GRA, it's reduced already because the INEC registration has been taken not just at that place. It has now been decentralized across Ikeja, and I'm also sure that that's how it has been across the country. So the pressure reduces on the personnel, and it makes it easier for people to register, which is what INEC should always do.
Instead of putting it at a place,
just one place.
They should have different
They
areas.
should have different areas. I think that when next they are doing this, you know, it's always in phases. The way INEC does this thing is always in phases. But if it is possible, just start immediately by decentralizing it. If you look at the figure that we've always had, you know, I gave a figure from August to December. We had 2.6 million completed registration for August, September. That's like 4 months.
4 months, yeah.
You will see the figure now that it has been decentralized. You will see that the figure would even improve. Within that, I think that will happen. Decentralization should happen for like 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
I think it's about 50 days or so, from February 2nd to April 10 or so. Yes.
We will see the figures. So when you decentralize, it brings it closer to the people, and people want to register. You don't have the crowd that you usually have at just one center. So I think that should be part of what INEC should put into their process.
Are you still with us, Okweoluwa? Okweoluwa, are you still with us?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. What plans are you putting in place through your organization since the INEC continuous voter registration has now been decentralized? What efforts are you putting in place now to further ensure that people go to vote, to register rather? Because that is also very key to whatever we're doing. So what efforts are you really putting in place to ensure that more people go to those decentralized areas now, very close to where they reside?
All right, so for the mobilization of youth in Nigeria, especially in, I cover some part of Lagos, Abuja, and some other northern parts. For instance, I was just coming back from a particular leadership meeting in Abuja, talking about some CSOs working to sensitize youth in terms of registry. And one of the things we came up in that conference we had last week in Abuja, I was there with some of my team members.
Can you move back a little?
For mobilization.
Hello, Okpa, can you move back a little so that we can see your face? Just move back a little. Move back a little.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, just move back a little so that we can see your face. Okay, yes, let's see your face. That's better.
All right.
It's okay now, so you can continue.
Okay, so apart from the... All right. Apart from the mobilization, one thing that is very critical for us is the aspect of certified database. Certified, what do I mean by certified database? I know what it took me personally to be able to trace my name on the voter list in order to get that card. It is very, very pivotal because on the day of election, most of my youths were disenfranchised in the last election as a result of the fact that they had temporary paper, not the card. So INEC must understand that, in fact, you will be shocked to know that one of the feedback I got during my sensitization at Akoka was that some of the youths who came from the north and the eastern part of Nigeria were so concerned and so bitter that INEC in the west removed their name because they are not from the west, which I know that it is not true. But that is their sentiment. So INEC must be very intentional in terms of having that like AI certified base database for them to be able that within social period you can come back and collect that card, that PVC, because it is a process, but the end justifies the means. So if the end is not ascertainable, then the process is just like a mirage. So that certified base database must be intentional so that I know when to register. I also know when to come back, not necessarily coming back 10 times, because personally I went 7 times. I missed 7 times before for that in 2027. So INEC must be ready to work closely, and we are ready to continue to partner with them to ensure that thousands and millions of youths of Nigeria come on board for PVC.
Okay, thank you so much. Okpeoluwa Taiwo is the Executive Director of African Bridge Initiative. Thank you so much. At least we still have the network help us a little. Thank you so much for coming on Talk Point.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
Yeah, let me come to you, Lekon, as we round up now in less than 2 minutes. Yes, what is your take for INEC now?
Well, for INEC, like we've said, they should work on some lapses which, has always caused delay in registration. And for Nigerians, again, it is your civic responsibility. It is very important that you have your permanent voter's card so that you can participate in the electoral process. This is the first step, and this is the foundation of participation. You like somebody, you want to vote for somebody, you want somebody to be in the office so that they can do well. The foundation is that you get your PVC, permanent voter's card from the INEC. When you get it, that's when you have a say. That's when you can vote for the candidate of your choice. So it is very, very important.
Okay, yes, I want to thank you so much. I want to believe that Okpeoluwa is still with us. Okpe, are you still with us?
Absolutely.
Yes,
always here.
Yes, thank you so much for being part of Talk Point on Lagos Television. Hopefully, we'll still have more discussions on some of these issues. Thank you so much. Yes, I also want to thank you so much, Lekon, for being part of Talk Point.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, on that note, we have come to the end of Talk Point today. 767 and 112 are still the lines. So always call in times of emergency. Stay out of trouble. Ensure that you always help to contribute your own quota to the development of Lagos and indeed Nigeria as a whole. I am Omololu Rosonwo, signing out.